Hey guys, it's POSTBOXPAT, welcome back to a new video, and today I'm going to be rating the Save the World weapons out of the top 5. Now this is an interesting video because there's a few decisions on here that I want to make and just some different comparisons, and there's a lot of people out there probably wondering, Pat, why on earth have you not put the Gravedigger as number 1, as you guys saw that in the thumbnail. We will get to that at the end of this video, and it's a very interesting concept and some secrets about Save the World for the newer players that you may not know. At the moment in time, Save the World is such a toxic game with all the scammers and stuff like that, and obviously they have tried removing that by removing global chat and stuff like that. But this video is going to tell you guys exactly why weapons do not 100% always matter, and we'll get into that later on why I'm saying that. Anyway, coming in at number 5, we have the Typewriter. Now the Typewriter itself is an amazing ranged weapon. I personally think it's probably the best ranged weapon in the game. It's actually the scoped AR, or should I say the thermal AR from Battle Royale, but it doesn't have the thermal ability in Save the World. And this weapon to me is absolutely amazing. What I use it for is engaging zombies at distance. For example, if you have to fight maybe one of the bigger bosses, you can target them straight away with the Tiger, and that will kill the boss almost every single time. Now in this mission here, I am extremely underpowered for the mission. Obviously the weapon's a little bit overpowered, but I'm just demonstrating some of the moves technically you can use the Tiger for, some of the strategies. It doesn't do the best damage if you hit the body. You can see here I'm not doing the best damage, and to be honest, the Tiger that I'm using was pretty well powered and pretty well upgraded, and it just wasn't doing the best damage. But if I hit the head, it does absolutely bad damage. Now unfortunately I just couldn't hit the headshot, but you can see when I hit the headshots it does absolute tons of damage, and if you can get them headshots on the big bosses and stuff with the Tiger, you can definitely mow down a lot of enemies in Fortnite Battle Royale. So overall, the Tiger for me had to be my favorite weapon out of these ranged weapons, should I say, and that's why I put it at number 5. And definitely it is worth getting your hands on if you know someone that has a copy of it. Again, I would not recommend trading. It's just really, the community has just gone upside down with that at the moment, but get your hands on it through a friend, and if not, we'll talk a little bit more about weapons on in the video. But you're probably wondering what exactly is going on with the different zombies or the different hooks, Pat. Well, as you can see on screen right now, I have a little chart for you guys. It's basically rock, paper, scissors, depending on what element your weapon has got on it, and that's fire, nature, and water. Or you could have physical or energy. The best between this different charts here, you can see on the left hand side we have physical and energy. Basically the one you want to be using is energy. Physical is not as good as energy. And on the chart on the right, you can see which one is effective against which zombies. For example, if you're fighting a water zombie, you want to be using nature. If you're fighting a fire zombie, you want to be using water. And if you're fighting nature zombies, you want to be using fire. So a bit like rock, paper, scissors, it works really well. It's a very simple chart. You guys definitely should consider that. Now, coming in at number 4 for these weapons would to me have to be the Typewriter. Now the Typewriter itself is probably one of my favourite weapons in Save the World. Obviously it got added into Fortnite Battle Royale, but what makes the Typewriter so good is its fire rate. Its fire rate isn't super, but it's good enough to get a decent amount of accuracy, and that is sometimes what you need in Save the World to get them damage, or basically get the damage done and not miss your shot. So I've decided to use the Typewriter here and show you guys exactly why I really like it. Personally, I think it's one of the best weapons. You can see it's very effective. Obviously these ones have got their shield on. I'm just showing you some of the damage it can do to these. This Typewriter has got element on. My friend's going to take out the shields for you guys, but there we are. You can see the amount of damage this weapon can do when it hits the zombies. It's very effective. Now this is a 106 Typewriter, pretty awesome weapon. You can see it absolutely tears apart some of the zombies. If I can get some shots off at them. Here we are. We take this guy out here. You can see it's a very good weapon, really useful, and it's got a decent amount of magazine size. It's got 87 bullets in the total that this one's got. Now obviously this is at a 75% increase on the magazine size, but you can get different amount of magazine size depending on your perks. A lot of the weapons really do depend on perks, but this video is just giving you guys a brief idea why I personally prefer these weapons. Obviously this is all my opinions, so please don't hate on me if you prefer other weapons for yourself. I've only really included main shooter weapons. I've not included explosives. I've not included snipers really, apart from the Tiger, which I wouldn't class as a sniper. And I've not really included any melee weapons either, but this is just kind of just a generalization, should I say, of Fortnite Save the World, understanding which weapons do what. Anyway, let's move on from the Typewriter and go on to number 3. So to be honest, I was debating between these two. I was debating between the Siegebreaker and the Typewriter coming in at number 3. So that's why it was that in the thumbnail. But why did I put the Nocturna in the thumbnail? Well, if you guys didn't know, the Nocturna is basically the same weapon as the Siegebreaker, but slightly worse. Now, why am I saying that? You're probably like, Pat, hold on. I've paid all this money for the Nocturna and it's not as good as the Siegebreaker. Well, the answer to that is basically if you get the same perks on your Siegebreaker as the Nocturna, weapons have exactly the same stats. Now, one thing to consider is that most Siegebreakers aren't going to have them perks, and they're probably not going to be as good as the standard Nocturna because they may come out with bad perks. But you can customize your Siegebreaker to be better than the Nocturna if you get the right perks on it, whereas the Nocturna is limited from what perks you can have on it because it has to keep the default perks. So overall, the Siegebreaker is technically better than the Nocturna, but earlier on in the game, I would definitely recommend the Nocturna over the Siegebreaker because the perks are basically an average perk set that can give you guys a great weapon, whereas the Siegebreaker can get some bad perks sometimes depending on what perks you got on it and what you prefer, but it is all opinion based. But generally out there, most people would say that the Siegebreaker is better than the Nocturna, and I know a lot of people out there, for example, like all the scammers and like all the people that make scamming videos, think that the Nocturna is the super weapon and it's amazing, it's like the second best gun in the game, and guys, it's really not. It's the Siegebreaker is actually such a better gun if you get better perks on it. Now, I'm not saying the Nocturna is a bad gun, it's a great gun with the default perks, but your Siegebreaker can be better if you get the right perks. And that's all I'm saying simply. Siegebreaker is definitely probably the second best gun in the game in my opinion, and the reason for that is as well is because the actual Siegebreaker itself does have the ability to shoot light bullets. Now, that is such a good ability coming up with the next weapon, which most of you can probably see from the thumbnail, being the Gravedigger. But, you know, the Gravedigger only shoots medium bullets, whereas the Siegebreaker shoots light bullets. So it comes in up there as the top probably 2 shooter weapons in the game. And to be honest, it is absolutely awesome to see these sort of weapons having that ability in Fortnite Battle Royale and just being able to kind of just understanding why the Siegebreaker is better than the Nocturna is something that not many people really know. And I know a lot of people who are proper professional and MLG Save the World players will know all this, but some of the newer Save the World players, which is probably near enough 90% of you watching this video, probably still think the Nocturna is better, and I hope you guys understand exactly why that is the case right now. Anyway, moving on to the next weapon, being the Gravedigger. So the Gravedigger comes in at number 2 for me, and the hidden number 1 will be shown in a moment for you guys. With the Gravedigger itself having that ability just to be just generally the best assault rifle in the game. Outright, this weapon has amazing perk, amazing damage, amazing stats. Obviously the perks are changeable sometimes with different Gravediggers and stuff, but bear in mind, Gravediggers, not many people have it. It's an OG weapon. You had to play at Halloween and complete all the quests. I played at Halloween. I didn't get all the quests done, unfortunately, though, so I didn't get access to the actual Gravedigger itself. But the Gravedigger is an amazing weapon. The downside to it, it shoots medium ammo. That's all about it. Like, personally, I think that's the only downside to it because it costs more material to craft. But other than that, the Gravedigger is an amazing weapon. The stats on it are unreal. When you fully upgrade it, it's just, there's nothing out there that's better than it. Generally, you can't get any better than a simple Gravedigger. The magazine size is usually decent, of around 40 if you don't upgrade it. It's just so much better than the Scar, in my opinion. Or obviously the Siegebreaker in Save the World. And it's just crazy to see a lot of people thinking that sometimes other weapons are better than the Gravedigger. Personally, when you actually play the game, you'll notice when you get your hands on a Gravedigger, they are by far the best weapon in Save the World. Now, for those wondering out there, why use your Gravedigger, and if you've got one, like, should you use it and stuff? The answer is to that question, don't use your Gravedigger until you get to higher missions. You don't want to be wasting your Gravedigger's durability on lower missions that are so easy to complete by just using default weapons, or maybe weapons that have been given to you by someone, or weapons that you picked up off the floor. When it comes to Save the World, weapons don't matter, and that's where we move in to the next stage, coming in at number 1. Okay, so this might get quite a lot of hate from a lot of people out there, but for those that have played Save the World and made it to the last missions on Twine Peaks, they will understand exactly where I'm coming from with this. Now, this does come down to your survivors and the way you've built your survivor squad. You're going to need a lot of high tech for it, and obviously you've got the 4 main stats there. You've got also the bonuses that give you trap durability and a bit of trap damage sometimes as well on them. Bonuses you can get, but on your Fortnite survivors, you want to make sure your tech is as high as possible. You've obviously got resistance, you've got offense, and you've got fortitude, so they're your different ones that you want to build up on. But tech is your traps, so the number 1 spot is traps. Now you're probably wondering, Hold on, what are you on about? Well, traps are by far the best way of killing husks in Fortnite Save the World. A lot of people don't really use them. I see a lot of people playing missions, especially in the earlier stages, and thinking, you know, maybe if you just crafted a few traps in your home base and you were struggling doing your stuff, or if you were to craft maybe a few different things there and then. So for example, if you were to craft possibly just maybe a few, just even spike traps and stuff like that to slow down your husk, shall I say, even in the earlier stages, you will be able to get through missions a lot easier. Having them missions that you're struggling on, traps are needed. If you're struggling on any missions from your home base and stuff like that, don't be just using weapons, craft up some traps and you'll be sorted, guys, don't you worry. But let me show you guys exactly why traps are the best. So here we are against husks that are well more powerful than the traps we are currently running here. The husks are, I don't know the exact number for them, I think they may be 105, and some of these traps aren't even high level at all. You've got low level 50 trap there, 106 traps. So let's spawn in the husks and demonstrate exactly what's going on. So you can see here, I'm just running through a little trap tunnel that we've built, and this is like the last, I think this is the second to last storm defense on Twine Peaks. So stage 8 this one is, and it is absolutely insane. So check this out, guys. When we spawn in the husks, you're gonna get some mad trap gameplay. Now, the reason I say these are number one is because if you effectively set up the traps and get it so it's just perfect, so it kills every single husk in the game, you can mow down near enough every type of husk. Now, you're probably wondering, Pat, what about smashes? Now, that's when your weapon does come into play, and I've got some gameplay later on for you guys, which goes over some smashes, but here we are, we've got all the husks coming in, so we can see that the husks are generally spawning straight on to gas traps. They're getting taken out straight away by the gas traps. These are level 132 husks against 105 traps, and some of them are level 50 as well, the traps. But you can see enough traps can take on an army of husks if they're the right level. Now obviously you're going to need to be using legendary traps to do this and make it effective, and make sure you're doing stuff correct, and watch out for the eyeball ones because they do struggle against your traps. But you can get the right traps, and what happens is they fling round the side and they go round and go back down underneath and go back through and take a load of damage. So these little eyeball ones do absolute bad damage to you, so I have to watch out myself. But you can see here we're getting a bunch of traps, and basically all of the husks are taking so much damage from the traps, they're just not even making it up to the storm shield at all. And I understand that this is very late game and very end game, and it can be hard to craft and difficult to make. But with you guys realizing what is going on and kind of just understanding traps in general, and even having a little bit of trap knowledge, doesn't require much at all. Much effort, it just requires you to craft the stuff, and once you've crafted it up, you will be set for the game. Now for the people that are interested about the smashes and stuff, now this does require, unfortunately, a weapon that is decent to defend off these smashes. Smashes are a type of zombie that can break through anything apart from they don't really charge at stairs because for some reason it doesn't like register, but they can break through near enough anything when they charge their smash. So you can see here we're having a lot of difficulty with these huge smashes right here. We are using energy weapons to take them out on our grave diggers themselves, but when you get to this stage in the game, I'm sure you'll have a bunch of good weapons. You could even use a siege breaker against these if you had a really overpowered one, and just take on these smashes in like maybe a team of 4. Now basically these storm shield defenses are meant to be done with a team of 4, and here we are solo in it, or technically duo in it. He usually, Mystical himself, actually solos them. So these are absolutely insane missions, and smashes aren't even making it free. You can see here the stairs are stopping them from charging, but when they start to try and destroy the stairs, that's when they realize they can charge. And smashes can sometimes get a charge off, sometimes it's not 100% reliable, this stair technique, but it does work most of the time. So it is useful to have them there to stop the smashes from charging, but when there's so many smashes, you sometimes have to take them out with your weapon. And that's when traps do have their disadvantage, and that is the only disadvantage to traps, is smashes. But who's actually going to play Save the World with no weapons, or no good weapons? Near enough no one. Any weapon can be used in Save the World, especially in the earlier missions. You don't need to worry about having the best weapon in the game. Simply place a few traps every game and you'll be set to go. Don't worry about your best weapon. Obviously when there's smashes and stuff, you're going to need a decent weapon, but you don't need something that's in the top 4 or top 5 for weapons. So, you know, I hope you guys have learned something in today's video. The biggest thing I want most of you to take away from this video is that traps are by far the best way in Save the World to kill husks, and, you know, keep avoiding all them traders and scammers for weapons, because at the end of the day, you don't even need weapons. You just don't need them. You just don't need good weapons anyway. You could simply use the standard AR fully upgraded, maybe a legendary version, or you could use a legendary version of maybe, I don't know, just some sort of bad SMG or something that's not really up there in the top weapons, and as long as it's pretty maxed out and decent stats on it and stuff, as long as you've got some amazing traps that have got good stats on them as well, good durability and good damage and stuff like that, you'll be set to go. Now again, it is all opinion based on what you want on your like kind of, I don't know, it all comes down to what you want and what sort of style of play you play. But obviously durability is one of the best things to have on traps, so they don't lose their durability as quick, so they can do more uses and stuff like that. And that's where it comes up with your tech and stuff. If you have your tech increased and all that nonsense as well, that sort of stuff can go into a lot of depth about that. And that's an entire new video, understanding exactly how to make all these traps, like the best traps and the best trap tunnels. But just standard traps, guys, honestly, you can get through a lot of Save the World just doing that. And if you've got a decent gun to be like partnered with it, you'll be set to go. Don't worry about it, guys. You guys will be able to smash through Save the World after you've watched this video, and I hope you guys have learned something like I said today. Do leave a comment down below if you'd like to see some more Save the World videos in the future. If you are new to the channel, do stick around for daily Fortnite content. I bring out a wide range of content covering Fortnite Battle Royale storylines, Fortnite Battle Royale tips and tricks, Fortnite Battle Royale leaks, and also a lot of Save the World content to come in the future. I know Save the World is the future of Fortnite, because eventually a lot of people will get bored of Battle Royale, and Save the World will still have a strong standing community as well as Battle Royale. So Save the World will gain a lot of Battle Royale players in the future as people do start to get bored of it slowly. I do really still enjoy Battle Royale, but I have extremely been enjoying Save the World recently, so that's why I've decided to cover a little bit of content on it. I do hope this video does get a few views and does get out there to you guys, because it's something I want a lot of people to know. So if you would like to share it and you would like to help me out, feel free, share it with your friends on Twitter, on Facebook, however you want to share this video. Send it out there, send them a link to it, get them onto it, and get them checking out this awesome stuff. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and once again, this is POSTBOXPAT signing out.